NASA didn't fake the moon landings. They canceled 3 fully built, fully crewed missions, Apollo 18, 19, and 20, right after the successful ones. The hardware was real, the rockets were on the pad, the crews were trained, so why shut it all down in 1970? Not because they ran out of money, not because the public lost interest, but because of what the first 6 crews actually found up there. Something so big, they quietly killed the rest of the program and never went back. Apollo 17, December 1972. That final mission didn't just end the program. It returned the most geologically valuable haul in the history of spaceflight. 249 pounds of lunar material collected with real scientific precision. That precision existed almost entirely because of one man, Harrison Schmitt, a Harvard-trained geologist with a PhD and years of fieldwork experience, the only professional scientist ever to walk on the moon. Every other astronaut was a test pilot who learned to identify rocks. Schmitt was trained to understand them. In normal scientific settings, field reports, sample analysis, academic talks, Schmitt's language was precise and technical. But after Apollo 17, when asked directly about certain sample compositions and what they suggested about the moon's interior, his answers became noticeably vague, not dramatically evasive, just general in a way that didn't match his usual style. That shift is a pattern worth noting. One sample Schmitt personally collected, troctolite 76535, has been called in the scientific literature, and I'm quoting directly here, without doubt the most interesting sample returned from the moon. It's the key piece of evidence that the moon once had a strong magnetic field. That discovery alone should have demanded follow-up missions. It didn't. Then there's the seismic data. Apollo crews placed seismometers at multiple sites that kept recording until September 1977. The readings didn't match a cold, dead rock. NASA's own scientists reported that when they deliberately crashed rocket stages into the surface, the moon didn't just shake, it rang like a bell. The Apollo 12 impact produced reverberations that lasted more than 3 hours. That's not normal. The full seismic data set wasn't made widely available for years. Even after archiving, certain frequency ranges carried internal flags requiring further review. I'm not claiming to know what that means. I'm saying it's in the official record. Farouk El-Baz, Apollo's chief geology coordinator, chose every landing site and briefed the crews. He gave very few interviews about what they actually found. His public comments almost always stayed on process, how sites were chosen, never on the content of the discoveries. Another pattern. Apollo 18 was scheduled for Tycho Crater, one of the most geologically anomalous sites on the near side. Apollo 19 was targeting Hyginus Ryle. Apollo 20 was heading to Marius Hills, a region with unusual volcanic features that didn't fit standard models. All 3 were high-priority scientific targets. All 3 were canceled. The official reason given to Congress in 1970, budget cuts. 3 missions, 3 anomalous sites, 1 explanation. Does that sequence feel like a coincidence to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I've been wrestling with it too. The budget story is the part I could almost accept. Programs end, money runs out. But what happened to the data afterward? That's where the pattern stops looking like history and starts looking like something that's still being managed. So here's the real question. 3 fully planned missions, Apollo 18, 19, and 20, all targeting highly anomalous geological sites, quietly canceled under the exact same budget excuse. Does that read like a simple coincidence to you, or does it feel deliberate? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. I read every single one, because what happened to the data after the program officially ended, that's where this story gets even harder to dismiss. If this were just another Cold War secrecy story, the files would be declassified by now. The Pentagon Papers came out. The CIA's family jewels were released. Signals intelligence programs from the 1960s are public record. The normal cycle is secret, then declassified, then archived, then forgotten. That cycle never happened with Apollo, and in 2025 and 2026, access around the original landing sites isn't loosening, it's tightening. NASA has now formalized the Apollo sites as protected heritage zones with enforced buffer areas. The guidelines recommend exclusion zones of roughly 2 kilometers around each lander. No future vehicle, American or foreign, can approach without NASA approval. Officially, it's about preserving historic artifacts and cultural heritage. That framing makes sense on paper. What's harder to square is why a space agency, rather than a preservation body or international scientific body, controls who gets close. Conservation protects things from damage. This policy controls access. Those are two different goals. Meanwhile, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has been mapping the moon in high resolution since 2009 and is still operating in 2026. Researchers examining the public archive have repeatedly noted inconsistencies in image resolution over specific coordinates, particularly around Marius Hills, one of the canceled mission targets. I'm not saying the images show structures. I'm saying the resolution drops in ways that don't match surrounding areas, and no clear institutional explanation has been provided. That gap exists in the public record. Then there's China. By 2025-2026, the Chang'e program has returned samples from the lunar far side, regions no Apollo mission ever reached, areas Harrison Schmitt himself pushed to visit and was denied. Those are scientifically valuable returns. The American response has been notably quiet. Data sharing between NASA and Chinese lunar scientists remains heavily restricted by law. Another data point worth noting. Let me be very clear about what I am and am not saying. I'm not claiming aliens. I'm not saying the landings were faked. The landings were real, the samples are real, the science is real. What I am saying is this: 3 high-priority missions targeting the most geologically anomalous sites were canceled. Much of the data from the missions that did fly has never been fully open to the broader scientific community, and today, access around those original sites is more restricted than ever. That pattern is visible in the public record. Harrison Schmitt, the only professional geologist to walk on the moon and the man originally assigned to Apollo 18, has been asked in interviews what the canceled missions might have found at sites like Tycho. His answers remain careful and measured. He has spoken about the moon holding clues to Earth's early environment and called the far side an awfully large area to leave unexplored. But after more than 50 years, he has never said what he thinks was actually there, and no one has pressed him hard on why. That thread is still open. If you want to keep pulling on threads like this and uncovering what they're not telling us, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think those 3 canceled missions were really just about budget, or was something else going on? I read every comment. I'll see you in the next one.